Okay. At some point, I'm going to get the timing on that right. Welcome to the Top 10 at 10. My name's Dan Wright, writer of FireDogLake.com. And these are the top 10 stories today, which is June the 10th, 2014. Now it's all boxed up. Let's see if we can get it back. Story number 10. Public has no doubt about Bergdahl. Has doubts about Bergdahl prisoner exchanges from Pew Research Center, but most say U.S. should do all it can to return captive troops. The prisoner exchange that freed U.S. soldier Bo Bergdahl from the Taliban in Afghanistan gets a more negative than positive reaction from the public. Overall, 43% say it was the wrong thing for the Obama administration to exchange 5 Taliban prisoners for captive soldier Bergdahl, while fewer 34% say it was the right thing to do. 23% do not offer an opinion. The new national survey by the Pew Research Center and USA Today conducted June 5 through 8 among 1,004 adults finds that while the specific prisoner exchange is viewed negatively on balance, most think the U.S. has a responsibility to do all it can to free U.S. soldiers in general, regardless of the circumstance. So now that this guy's been smeared by the right-wing attack machine, people are not so sure about this particular exchange. But in general, they support the idea of getting our soldiers back. What a country! Story number 9 is from Mother Jones. This ice sheet will unleash a global superstorm Sandy that never ends. This is from a while ago. I don't know how this got them on it, but it's worth. I'll go through it anyway. If you want to truly grasp the scale of Earth's polar ice sheets, you need some help from Isaac Newton. Newton taught us the universal law of gravitation, which states that all objects are attracted to one another in relation to their masses. The ice sheets covering Antarctica and Greenland are incredibly massive. These ice sheets are so large, in fact, that gravitational attraction pulls the surrounding ocean towards them. The sea level, therefore, rises upward at an angle as you approach an ice sheet, and slopes downward and away as you leave. This is not good news for humanity, as the ice sheets melt due to global warming. Not only do they raise the sea level directly, they also exert a weaker gravitational pull on the surrounding ocean, so water sloshes back towards continents where we all live. That will be a problem. Story number 8. This is from Politico. Yes, Nixon scuttled the Vietnam peace talks. It's been rumored for years. Now we have real proof. Did Richard Nixon's campaign conspire to scuttle the Vietnam peace talks on the eve of the 1968 election to capture him the presidency? Absolutely, says Tom Charles Houston, the author of a comprehensive still secret report he prepared as a White House aide to Nixon. In one of 10 oral histories conducted by the National Archives and opened last week, Houston says there is no question the Nixon campaign aides sent a message to South Vietnamese government promising better terms if it obstructed the talks and helped Nixon get elected. Nixon's campaign manager, John Mitchell, was directly involved, Houston tells the interviewer, Timothy Nafalty. And while there is no evidence that I found that Nixon participated, it is inconceivable to me, says Houston, that Mitchell acted on his own initiative. Houston's comments transcribed and published on the website of the Richard Nixon Presidential Library in Yorba Linda, California on Wednesday are the latest twist in a long-standing tale of political skullduggery involving Nixon and his predecessor, Lyndon Johnson. It is a tale that features a secret X-file, a mysterious dragon lady, and reports of wiretaps and bugging that has captured the imagination of scholars and conspiracy theorists for half a century. But like many of Nixon's actions, this particular transgression was born of paranoia. As the 1968 election approached, Nixon and his aides feared that Johnson would try to help the Democratic nominee, Vice President Hubert Humphrey, by staging an October surprise when LBJ announced to the nation just days before the balloting that he was calling a halt to the bombing in North Vietnam to help fuel progress in ongoing peace talks. The Republicans thought their fears were realized. Anna Chenault, a Republican activist with ties to South Vietnamese government, sent word to Saigon that it would get better terms If Humphrey lost and Nixon took office, the FBI would discover the South Vietnamese dragged their feet, infuriating LBJ, who, in a taped conversation released by the Johnson Presidential Library several years ago, can be heard denouncing Nixon for treason. LBJ ordered the FBI to put Chenault under surveillance, and according to documents at the Nixon Library, tracked the machinations of the Dragon Lady, as Nixon called her, via intercepted communications at the South Vietnamese embassy. Oh, man. Okay, so for those who are wondering, yes, the Nixon campaign sabotaged peace talks with the South Vietnamese, with the North and South Vietnamese by putting the screws to the South Vietnamese and offering them a better deal. So now you know. Lots of people had to die because these people someone wanted to be president. Same as it ever was. Story number 7. Revealed Asian slave labor producing prawns for supermarkets in US, UK. Thai ghost ships that enslave, brutalize, and even kill workers are linked to global prawn supply chain. The Guardian investigation recovers. Slaves forced to work for no pay for years at a time under threat of extreme violence are being used in Asia in the production of seafood sold by major U.S., British, and other European retailers. The Guardian can reveal a 6-month investigation has established that large numbers of men bought and sold like animals and held against their will on fishing boats off Thailand are integral to the production of prawns, commonly known as shrimp in the U.S. Okay. Sold in leading supermarkets around the world, including the top 4 global retailers, Walmart, Carrefour, Costco, and Tesco. Slave trade, all right. The investigation found that the world's largest prawn farmer, the Thailand-based Charan Popcan Foods, buys fish meal, which it feeds to its farmers farmed prawns from some suppliers that own, operate, or buy from fishing boats manned with slaves. So, see, people say, oh, capitalism got rid of slavery. Apparently not. Apparently it's part of it. Oops. Oh, yeah. Okay, so that's pretty depressing. Story number 6. The difference between cancer exploitation and art, according to a cancer survivor. This is, I guess, a part of this new god-awful film. Whether we view cancer films as outsiders or insiders, the best movies in the genre provide catharsis. And The Fault in Our Stars, Hazel, the story's teenage protagonist, played by Shailene Woodley, wears a t-shirt imprinted with Margaret's famous painting of a pipe. This is not a pipe. She explains the picture to her confused mother, saying all representations of a thing are inherently abstract. Art, in other words, imitates life. It's not meant to be life itself. So it is with cancer films. These stories are not meant to be literal representations. What it means to watch them depends on whether we come as outsiders, wanting to understand an experience beyond our own, or as insiders coming to see our own lives reflected. I am in the latter category. 5 years ago, when I was only 38, I was diagnosed with locally advanced aggressive cancer. The doctors told me if the chemo and relatively new therapy did not work, I would have a 10% chance of surviving 5 years. If the treatment worked, the odds were reversed in my favor. The world looks different after you have spent time pinned to a mat by death. The gaps between reality and representation are no longer theoretical. So there are contentious, beautifully bald actors shorn to portray chemo patients portray reality with their thickly lashed eyes, which to the chagrin of those of us left lashless by the real medicine. Some of the most egregious side effects of the treatment cannot be artfully depicted on film, mouth sores and constipation to anyone, while vomiting, which has become more manageable thanks to newer side effect medicines, continues its prominent role as a cancer flick motif. Obviously, filmmakers are not making medical documentaries. Indicating pain and suffering would suffice without having to make audiences endure it. In fact, film critic Roger Ebert, a fellow cancer insider, found the movie Wit too graphic to watch as it brought back many vivid and painful memories of treatment. So what does it mean to use cancer as a backdrop to a story? To be sure, a prolonged or terminal cancer experience is crucible of one's character as well as characters of those around you. The fractures in our relationship break or heal under the strain of mortal threat. Cancer is an economical, dramatic device. I think she's not really reviewing the film here. She's talking about cancer. Okay, well, whether we view these films as outsiders or insiders to the cancer world, the best movies in this genre provide catharsis. As I watched The Fault in Our Stars with my 11-year-old daughter this past weekend, we dried our eyes as the credits rolled. The story opened up discussions about her memories of my illness and her uncle's death, helping her make new sense of these painful experiences. Art may merely be a representation of reality, but if it deepens our humanity, then it has done its job. Okay, so I guess she found it useful. So there you go. I guess some people like that film. Story number 5. The Hillary Clinton interview, 25 revealing quotes. I'm not going to go to 21, rather. Oh, God. Why she lost in 08. I think because I really didn't have a good strategy for my campaign. I didn't plan it the right way. As a candidate who was already so well known, I don't think I ever said, yes, you may have known me for 8 years, but I don't take anything for granted. I have to earn your support. But they're going to be these kind of bullshit answers for the next 2 years. Because when you're in the spotlight as a woman, you know you're being judged constantly. I mean, it's just never ending, and you get a little worried about, okay, you know, people over on this side are loving what I'm wearing, looking like saying, and people over on this side aren't. Your natural tendency is, how do you bring people together? Holy shit. Oh my God. This is just going to be a grueling 2 years, folks. Buckle up. I'm going to decide when it feels right for me to decide on 2016. Certainly not before then. I just want to kind of get through this year, travel around the country, sign books, help in the midterms, elections in the fall, and then take a deep breath. Yeah, okay. All right. Nobody believes a word of that crap, right? Gawker, from Gawker, infamous hacker Guccifer sentenced to 4 years in prison. Guccifer, the Romanian hacker who introduced the world to George W. Bush's nude self-portraits, has been sentenced to 4 years in prison. The former cab driver, born Marcel Lazare Lahel, was arrested in January. In addition to the Bush paintings, Lahel gained access to the private correspondence of several U.S. and Romanian officials and celebrities, including Colin Powell and Romanian Secret Service Chief George Mayor. He potentially faces 7 years in prison due to the 3-year suspended sentence he received after a prior hacking arrest. A Romanian prosecutor told Reuters he or she had no knowledge of any request for extradition from the U.S. despite an FBI investigation into Guccifer that reportedly began last year. Story number 3. Democrats see winning issue in carbon plan. Always in media rests. Why don't we just, the EPA proposal to reduce carbon pollution from power plants was deemed a political gift from the Obama administration to Republicans running for Senate seats in coal-producing states of Kentucky and West Virginia, and an anchor around the necks of their Democratic opponents. Elsewhere, the threat of higher electricity bills and Republican attacks about another federal power grab were supposed to send Democrats scurrying for cover and distance from the White House. But Mark Udall's example shows that not all Democrats look at it that way. In Iowa, Representative Bruce Braley, the Democratic Senate nominee, has adopted the same approach as Mr. Udall. Reducing our carbon output is not only necessary for the health of the planet, it's an opportunity to continue to improve the health of the Iowa economy, which will always remain my #1 priority. Other states with competitive Senate races, such as Michigan, Democrats say growing public support for action to curb climate change, coupled with pronouncements by Republican candidates that human activity is not contributing to it, or their denials about global warming, could help Democrats this year. Maybe. Story number 2, insurgents seize Iraqi city of Mosul as troops flee, or Mosul. Insurgents seized control early Tuesday of most of the northern Iraqi city of Mosul, including the provincial government headquarters, offering a powerful demonstration of the mounting threat posed by extremists to Iraq's teetering stability. Fighters with the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, ISIS, an al-Qaeda offshoot, overran the entire western bank of the city overnight after Iraqi soldiers and police apparently fled their posts, in some instances discarding. So finally, the al-Qaeda is a serious threat in Iraq. Well done, George Bush. Great job, Washington. Now, finally, Al Qaeda is in Iraq, and they have a real footprint, a real presence. They didn't when was in control, but now they do. Well fucking done. In Baghdad, Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki announced a general mobilization and asked Parliament to declare a state of emergency. Whatever. Story number one. U.S. mistakenly bombs own troops in Afghanistan. This is from Firedog League, yours truly. More bodies have been tossed into the bottomless pit of misery. It is the U.S. mission in Afghanistan, as reports are that a U.S. B-1 stealth bomber accidentally dropped ordnance on a U.S. position, killing 5 American soldiers. The bombing is one of the deadliest incidents in Afghanistan in recent months and marks the deadliest friendly fire incident of the 14-year-long war. U.S. forces were returning from an operation when they were ambushed, and subsequently an airstrike was called, and the airstrike missed the intended area and hit friendly forces. A spokesman would not fully confirm that the report, but did concede the incident was under investigation and that, quote, there is the possibility that fratricide may have been involved, unquote. Most of the U.S. and NATO forces are set to leave Afghanistan by the end of the year, though the Obama administration says it plans to leave 10,000 troops in the country to conduct anti-terror operations and train Afghan forces remaining in harm's way. Afghans go to the polls this weekend to elect a successor to President Hamid Karzai, who has refused to sign an agreement allowing the 10,000 U.S. troops to stay. Whether or not the victor of the Afghan election will sign such an agreement is unknown. So we've just really been helping the people in the Middle East by killing them and destroying their countries. And that's the top 10 at 10. If you have a story you'd like me to feature the top 10 at 10, please tweet me at Dan S. Wright, and be sure to read all the stories at firedoglake.com. Thanks for watching. See you later.